2, 1.
7 things you probably didn't know you need to know. I'm Jamie East, and this is the Smart 7.
Hi Jamie, this is Edith Bowman. Now I can normally be found on my weekly podcast Soundtracking with Edith Bowman, but today I'm bringing you my 7 favourite news stories of 2021.
7.
Hey Edith, what have you got for us first of all?
Well, I'm going to go back to kind of the start of the year and BAFTAs. You know how much BAFTAs mean to me. I've hosted the red carpet for 1,001 years. And this year, Dermot O'Leary and I got upgraded to host the actual shiny floor main show, which was daunting, exciting. I might have vomited slightly beforehand.
What was the big takeaway winner from this year?
The big takeaway winner, for me anyway, was Chloe Zhao in Nomadland. And she's a one-woman show. She's amazing. And really interesting to think that from that to this year, she's did, obviously, Eternals, which is a million miles away from Nomadland, but shows you the kind of diversity of what she's able to achieve.
Let's have a listen to her acceptance speech.
Thank you so much for creating such a safe and encouraging environment for me to always challenge myself and to play. A huge special shout out to Frances McDormand, who is a brilliant storyteller of her own. Thank you, Fran, for discovering Fern with me and for bringing so much joy to our journey. Thank you.
6.
I believe we're sticking north of the border for the next one, Edith.
Now, I try any opportunity to get the Scottish card into anything that I do in life. What was incredible this past year was the Scottish football team. They qualified for Euros, and the big news is that they are one step closer to qualifying for the World Cup in Qatar. It means the world to so many people, and what's great is that a whole new generation of Scotland fans can finally get behind their national team.
I just want to see Scotland try to cope with that sunshine out there.
Alexander Mitrovic has to score for Serbia. And Belgium is saved!
Yes! Yes! Yeah! Yes, David! I'm gonna go hug Mama! Yeah! Yes! 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 I'm so happy you get to see it, son! Yeah!
Edith, as someone who themselves has left Radio 1 in their career, it's been quite a year for them, hasn't it?
I mean, it's been a bit of an exodus, to be honest. I think Greg and Scott are the only ones sort of left, to be honest. And I think that, listen, Grimmy and Annie leaving in such close succession was a big blow to them. But they had worked their socks off. And Annie, this kind of world that she's created outside of Radio 1 as well, with her festivals and with her DJing, and she then released a book. You never know how long you're going to be in that job for. Speaking of someone with experience of that, it's important to have things outside of that you can fall back on.
It must be difficult to know when that right time is, isn't it? I mean, people would look at the both of them and think, just take the money, just head down, just keep on going, and actually, that's not always the right thing to do, is it?
No, not at all, because you kind of want to walk before you're pushed. As much as you think you've got your kind of feet under the table is based on someone else's decision.
Everyone experiencing the same thing at once is something that I really love. I just don't think it can be beaten, and I think in the past year and a half we've felt that more than ever in that pandemic. I think we've been more open with you, you've been more open with us, and I felt like we were there for each other. So thank you, seriously, for honestly making my dream come true.
What have you got next for us, Edith?
You love Succession. I love Succession.
Oh my God.
I came late to it, actually. I hadn't watched the first season, and oh my God, I'd never seen anything like this. It's so great. And I remember having to pull over in the car because it was like an addiction. And then season 3, I'm not going to give any spoilers in case anybody's not watched it, but I just think that it is one of the best things that has ever been on TV.
I was lucky enough to catch up with Alan Ruck, and this is what he had to say about the fantastic writing team on Succession.
Great.
They are all
celebrated screenwriters and playwrights. And Jesse said something the other day. He said, all my writers are being offered their own shows. He said, I hope I can hang on to them. I know that they love working together. I know that they're thrilled to be on a show like this. And HBO is fantastic because they hire smart people to do the job. And they have opinions about things, but they don't interfere. They don't, micromanage.
Still to come on the Smart 7, Edith pays tribute to Helen McCrory, and she tells us about meeting a movie legend. Right after this.
This is Edith Bowman. Now, don't forget you can check out my weekly podcast, Soundtracking with Edith Bowman, where I dive into the relationship between film and music with directors, writers, producers, actors, composers. Last couple of episodes, we've had the likes of Reggie Yates and Steven Spielberg. And you can find that podcast in all the usual places.
Edith, as someone who's the supply teacher for Commode and Mayer's Wittertainment, it's been a big year for film. Feels like it's come back to say goodbye to Bond. What went on there?
Well, firstly, they couldn't have put it back any further. I mean, Daniel Craig would have been pulling his pension if he'd put it back any further. And what I loved about it, and I don't know if anybody else felt the same, obviously Daniel Craig's final Bond, his shoulders had dropped, and he was having fun because the kind of pressure was off in a way. I was lucky enough to host a Life in Pictures with him at the Odeon in Leicester Square, and I'd never seen him like that in interviews. He was so relaxed, he was really chatty. Maybe we haven't really appreciated how much pressure is on his shoulders, has been on his shoulders.
Aside from all of that, it was a great film.
It was fantastic. I thought it was great. Hans Zimmer as well. There's a new story for this year in terms of, we take him for granted. That score for Bond, and then June, mic drop.
It's been such an incredible experience on a professional level, on a personal level, and all of those things. I've had the privilege to sort of be part of the Bond universe and to play James Bond. I still don't quite believe I'm James Bond today.
We lost a lot of people in the film and music world this year, but one that was felt particularly cruel and was such a shock to us was Helen McCrory.
I couldn't believe it. I was really floored by it, to be honest. For so many reasons, I just think what a talent. I was lucky enough to do quite a bit of work with the Peaky Blinders team and interview her quite a few times. And I was quite intimidated by her. She had this kind of, the way that she walks, she has this incredible confidence and just presence. Aside from us as film and TV fans losing a huge talent, it's just a loss to the family, isn't it, as well? It was such a shock.
All children to be taken into our own institutions.
You have no say in where the children...
If I come for you, and I still might yet decide to come for you, I will wear high heels so you can hear my approach on the cobblestones and have time to repent. You listen for my footsteps.
And finally, as a film fan, it doesn't get much bigger than Spielberg, who you've been lucky enough to speak to. What was that like?
Hey, don't. I'll cry again. He's the reason I went to the cinema. You know, first film that I saw without my mum and dad with my mates was Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom. You know, they dropped us off and picked us up. And he's a master. And that relationship, obviously, with John Williams is just very, very special. Well, obviously, I wanted to talk to him about West Side Story because I went in with slight trepidation and came out just skipping and jovial and so relieved and so entertained by what he's done to it. He's made such beautiful but necessary subtle tweaks to the film, to the script that just make it even more special. Him singing the Jaws theme to me as part of the podcast might be one of my favourite moments of all time. He was kind of everything that you wanted him to be.
I wish there was some similarity between like the storming of the beaches on Saving Private Ryan, Omaha Beach, and like for instance, the dance in the gym. But there is a remarkable distinction between the two. I am not constrained in an action sequence by time, by tempi, by the mathematics of music. On a musical sequence, it's got to end exactly where it ends. It's got to begin only where it can begin, because then the music changes, compelling me to change the angle. Really worked as a team. This was a monumental collaboration to pull this off.
This has been and always will be Edith Bowman with my favourite news stories of 2021. Don't forget to check out my podcast. The latest episode is with Steven Spielberg, and the Smart 7 will be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. with another brilliant guest. Merry Christmas!
Written, produced and published by Daft Doris.